Joey started his fourth company shortly after moving to Austin in 2008. As a digital marketing professional who specializes in building a solid social media presence for his clients, he had been troubled by the fact that people tell him all the time that the internet, that if the internet were to go away one day, he would be out of a job. I seriously doubt that. Fortunately for Joey, he sees himself as a people connector first and a digital marketer second. He knows he'll be fine because he has built a sizable network of trusted business partners who consistently refer his business his way. So, Mr. Joey. Thank you, my friend.
You go live today. Hi guys, how you doing? Nice to see you. Good? Thank you. Thank you for, this is a very interactive session, so I will have you raising your hand, standing up, sitting down, meeting everybody. It's all about inviting connectivity, so if I ask a question and I cut you off, just keep talking over me, it's okay. I was going to thank all of our sponsors and everything, but Jeff did that for me, so I'll just thank Jeff. Matt, he's left the room. But he's already connected with everybody, so he doesn't need this as much. I call this Invite Connectivity because I've been a business owner a long time, about 22 years. And when I first started out at 18 years old as a freelance photographer, I didn't have any money to market my business. I didn't know how to market my business, but I knew how to make friends. I knew how to go out and connect with people in the business world. And in fact, the first several gigs that I got as a photographer came from my network of friends. They would know a person in a band who would connect me to the producer wanted, concert photos, or they wanted an album cover, and they would hire me and I would go shoot it on 35mm film with my dad's camera when I was 18 years old, and that's how I started my first company. So fast forward to my next business, working with an insurance company after leaving the Walt Disney Company, wanting to do my own thing, make my mark on the world. It was really a means to an end, but again, as an insurance person, it's very high relationship, high touch. I didn't want to spend any money on marketing or advertising, and so I spent a lot of time bringing people together, parties, events, meetings, doing presentations, and I found that as smart as I might come across sounding in a presentation, I was much better at connecting with people, and then through those connections I was able to get business. After a while I realized I just really didn't like doing that, and again it was a means to an end, so I left doing that. And after moving to Texas, I found myself in a really unique situation. I didn't know anybody. I knew my family, and they were a bunch of introverts. I actually have a philosophy about that. I think everybody's an introvert, we just hide behind being extroverted. Lots of heads bobbing out there. But my family didn't go to the movies. They only ate at like 3 restaurants in town. They were very introverted, and I had to get to know people. I was fortunate that I was working at the Starbucks actually down the street because the insurance and the free coffee could not be passed up. And I started meeting 19-year-olds who worked there, and they would introduce me to their friends. In fact, I met my wife today working there. We became fast friends. She was practicing law by day. If you know anything about lawyers, they don't make a lot of cold calls. Right? They're not allowed to. They can't chase ambulances, right? So they refer to their network, or they rely on their network to refer business to them. And so I learned a lot from her. We became fast friends, of course, and she actually helped me establish my business that I'm doing now back in 2010 by going out and going to events and networking with people and building a network from scratch, literally, all over again, which has been such a rewarding experience for me, and now I get to share it with you guys. So let's get to you guys. Why should we invite connectivity? Does anybody want to share? Anybody have any ideas? Scott Carly. Why do we connect?
Help people help people.
Help people help people. I love that.
I mean, that's how we do business, we get to know each other, so we know what you do and you know what I do.
Exactly, yeah.
Whenever the time comes, they will call you.
Whenever the time comes, they will call you, right? Well, we use the term networking, right? We go out, we do business networking. And what I've discovered is that, and if you were here earlier for Scott's presentation, which was excellent, by the way, he talks about how we don't like to go networking because people are just going to try and sell us at the event, right? Or if you're starting out, you might even think that's what I have to do. I have to take my business cards and I have to try and close that person right there at the networking event. And it's kind of like going on a date with the person and trying to close the deal on the first date, right? We know that doesn't work, right? And women, you definitely know that doesn't work. You have to take your time and develop a relationship and connect with the individual. Same thing is very similar in business for many of you, especially those that rely on referrals for your business. You have to develop a relationship before you're going to get those referrals from people that are going to send business your way. So here's how I like to say it. We're participating in an ecosystem. right? Everybody in this room is currently in the ecosystem of this room. If you go to another networking event, a restaurant, if you go to church, if you're part of a club, you're part of an ecosystem. You participate, you volunteer, you help out, you are a member of a community. And I'll talk more later about social networking, but my philosophy is very strong around that, about, people will come to me all the time, as you heard Jeff say, I run a company that helps businesses with their social media, and it pains me when all they want to do is post and they don't want to be a part of the community. They just advertise. They'll even say that. I have clients from Hawaii to New Hampshire. They'll send me a picture and they'll say, here, advertise our happy hour, advertise, our upcoming event. But that's not what your community wants. That's not what the people there want to do. They really want to connect, which is why we get on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, is we're there for, our brothers and sisters, when they have kids. We're there for when our college friends are doing something cool or getting a job promotion. That's why we're there. But businesses seem to miss the mark on that. Let's get a little bit more granular as to why you guys came here today. Does anybody want to be vulnerable and share? Now, I promise I will make you uncomfortable.
I'll share. I read that, how I never made another cold call, and I was like, oh, I hate cold calls. That would be wonderful, so.
Awesome.
I
Well,
learned about that.
I hope by the end of this, you'll feel like you never have to make another cold call again. Okay.
Because you always have something just really good and from the heart to say.
This is the
And-
fan club section.
That's true.
Small one up here, too, over in the back corner. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes.
So I read something like, I can possibly find someone to hire out to do my back-end social media stuff because I'm awful at
I
it.
think you read that in my bio, but I'm happy to talk to you about that afterwards.
Recommendation from the first class I was at. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, it was Carrie Vanson, who I think had to skip out, but you had asked me what I did, and I said, Carrie, what do I do? And she said, Joey's just great. You should come to his talk. And that's what I want for all of you guys. I want somebody in your life, I want 100 people in your lives to say, you're amazing. You should do business with this person. I know you had your hand up, so I want to.
No, just say it. I wanted to have the experience.
You wanted to have the experience. Life is full of experiences. And shared experiences are how we connect, right? I'm going to actually give you guys a little exercise later. So for those of you who answer, great, thank you. You took the first step to getting out your comfort zone. All of those of you who have been quiet up to this point, get ready.
He's gonna make all of us stop.
So
We're glad we're here.
you're glad you're here. I'm glad you're here.
I know. Everybody's like, wow, you have very high this thing of your talk, so we are glad that we are here.
Thank you. Well, everybody that's been speaking highly of me will get their checks next week.
Good one, Joey.
I'm here. Now that I know a little bit about why you guys are here, and I love that, I want you to know why I'm here. Well, I can show you actually. I'm writing a book, and I've been writing it since 2013. If you look down here, you'll see a little copyright that I threw on there. I brainstormed this a couple years ago, and I was so excited about it. I was actually on the road. I was telling somebody earlier about an auto accident I was in. I was actually, the very day I came up with this, I was in that car accident in 2013. I was driving up from South Austin on 620. I was about to hit Westlake, and the words invite connectivity came into my mind, and it kind of rung a bell in my soul, as in, this is what we need to be doing. We need to get beyond networking. Networking is great. Scott, know, like, trust? Absolutely. What's beyond know, like, trust? What about love? What about, they're the only person they're the only realtor I use, the only PR person I use, the only lawyer I use, the only air conditioning company I recommend, right? You guys all belong to an HOA group where you live, or an apartment housing group, and when somebody says, I need a whatever, 15 people are going on there saying, oh, my guy's the best, my lady's the best, right? And so, I was feeling that in the car, going, this is what I need to do for clients. I need to stop posting stuff on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram for them, and I need to help them build an audience of people who actually give a crap about them, for lack of a better way of saying it. Anyway, so I created this amazing thing. It totally shook my world, and then I shelved it for about 4 years. I just didn't know how to write a book. I mean, I was busy. Business was good. I was distracted by a lot of things. I have shiny object syndrome. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yes, yes.
Squirrel. I can't speak in rooms with windows. If a car drives by, I might look at it. And so recently, I've been really kind of reevaluating my life. You know, you turn 40, all of a sudden you start thinking about, what am I going to do when it's 50 comes? And I went back to this because this, again, like I said, it rung a bell in my soul. It really made me feel like this is my calling. This is the thing. And I've been in talks all week. Jeff will tell you because he was here too. The first 3 talks this week were not about networking. They were not about inviting connectivity. Every single one of those talks, one was on leadership, one was on, oh gosh, I'm blanking now. Time management. You know, that was such an incredible talk. And yet, Joe Serio, who gave that talk, when the videos become live, go watch all of these and check them out if you missed them. But, I mean, 3 minutes into it, he's talking about time management, and he's talking about make sure you make time to connect with people, right? Put that in your calendar, right? And so, obviously, everybody's talking about this stuff. What I'm going to do is only talk about this. I've just decided that's going to be my new movement. That's going to be my message to the world. Because I think it's important, and I think now it's more important than ever. You know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 2012, when the economy was in the dump and everybody was looking for work and the unemployment was super high, everybody was a coach or a consultant or starting their own little small business from their bedroom. But now that the economy's good, a lot of people have jobs, but it's not always going to be this great, and unemployment is not always going to be this low. So now's the time to build that network, to grow that audience of people that know you, like you, love you, trust you, want to see you succeed, so that when things kind of take a dip again, instead of going, what do I do, where do I go, you just let them know. Create an event, invite them all over, have hot dogs or fajitas or something. That's what we do at my house. We have fajitas. All right. So the premise of the book is nothing is more important than the quality of your connections. We network all the time. Scott and I, Jeff and I, Maria. We all know lots and lots of people, but we know. And Scott, in his presentation, he talked about his 50 people that if you were here for his talk, he sent you his 50 most important people in his personal network, right? And so it's great to go out and network and meet people, but you can't just collect the cards and never do anything with them. You have to find some opportunity to go a little bit deeper, actually find some commonality. Just the fact that you guys are all here today gives you something that you have in common. Anybody not live in the greater Austin? Anybody flying from St. Louis? We all have that in common, right? We all live in Central Texas. We all live in the Austin area. The list goes on and on. There's a lot of things you have in common. Build upon those and start developing relationships with people that matter. This is how you create quality in relationships. You add meaning to the connection. That's what I was just talking about with, find those things you have in common, but go beyond just living in Austin. Who here likes George Lucas movies? All the guys raise their hands. A couple of hands, right? And what was the example you used with the purse? Was it a Prada or something?
Kate Spade.
Kate Spade purse. Yeah, see, I've seen some sparkles in some eyes, right? There's things that you guys resonate with that you have in common. Go beyond just the typical, what do you do? Scott had some great questions. Why did you start doing what you do? What got you into this? I love getting into deeper conversations. Who here loves to have shallow, small talk, the weather, sporting events? Did you see the article on the news where they talked about Amy's ice cream and the listeria scare? It's like, what? No. I'm just kidding, that didn't happen.
I'm so glad.
I know, I missed
that would be bigger news story.
So I have these rules that I use and I like to teach. So I'm going to go over these one at a time. And if you guys want to poke holes down, feel free to. Again, I'm writing a book, and you guys are kind of part of that. You guys are part of the research stage of me figuring out what's going to go in and what's not, what matters and what doesn't matter. And if you really care, I'll give you credit. I'd be happy to do that. I'll put a link to this talk so anybody that wants to come back and hear can relate to that. All right. So when you go to a networking event, if you're going with the intent to close a sale or to get a new client or to get something other than just a connection, in my opinion, you're doing it all. And so I have come up with a list of things. And what's interesting about these is you might see I've got a little bit of a pattern. I'm going to walk through this slowly. And if you guys have thoughts or ideas, I want you to share them. If you have stories that connect to these things, share them as well. The first thing you want to do when you come here is make friends. You might come to learn how to not have to make cold calls ever again, but you can also come with the intent to make friends, and that person might become a referral network partner who's always going to send you business. I can tell you personally that I've had a number of people who send me consistent business who have never hired me. I meet with lots of guys that are men and women who are in securities and insurance, but I am not the person who makes the buying decision in my home for our investments and our insurance. and I'll never buy from these people. But they become great friends. I might go golfing with them, right? I might go to the movies with them, but I'm not ever going to buy their products and services. However, when somebody says they need somebody that understands that world, I'm going to refer them to a friend, right? To that friend. The second is be a friend, right? So make friends first, and then second, be a friend. How do you make friends, right? By being nice, by being attentive, by listening. Yeah, which is actually up there, but I want to get to number 3. Never sell an event, and I'm going to pause here for just a minute. You'll notice that I put never in all caps. Yes, sir.
On that, be a friend. I heard a phrase one time, be the kind of friend a friend would like to have.
Yeah,
And that made a big impression on me.
yeah, I love that. Absolutely, and we're all different, right? Like we all expect different things from our friends. And so find out what the people you meet expect from a friend, right? They might expect a little bit more openness. They might expect you to be a little bit more available or not. You know, it all depends. I have friends that don't live in the state of Texas, but if they called me and said they had a flat tire, I buy a plane ticket and go change their tire, right? That's how much they mean to me. And they would probably think I'm ridiculous for doing it, but they would never do the same for me, by the way. But that's, you know, the kind of level of connection that I have with them. That was great, Scott. Thank you for sharing that. I have on here never sell an event, and you'll notice there's an asterisk at the end, and I didn't have room at the bottom for the explanation, so I'll just explain it to you. When I first wrote that, I wrote never in caps, and I meant it. Never sell an event. At an event. Never sell at an event. But what I meant was, if it's not your event, never sell it at an event. If you were coming here today and I had just finished writing my book and the intent was to bring you here to sell you copies of my book, I know a couple authors in the room. I'm going to sell you my book, and I'm going to talk about why you should buy it. I'm going to tell you what you're going to get out of it and the value of it, and I'm going to have copies, and I'm going to expect you to pull out your credit card so I can swipe it on my phone and you can walk away with the book. However, when I go to events anywhere in town, I'm not going with the intent to sell. I kind of go to most networking events the same way I go to church, the way I go to a club meeting, if I'm part of a club, or if I'm volunteering for Habitat for Humanity. I'm going to serve, and I'm going to I'm going to create value. I'm going to be, you know, a benefit to the people there. Every rule has exceptions, so that's why I kind of threw the asterisk on there. Never sell an event except when you're allowed to sell an event because it's your event and you put it on, you paid for it. I have a friend of mine that has a thriving video business. He makes handcrafted business films, and he had left making videos and decided to train videographers how to make business films and run their whole businesses. He taught them the whole system. In fact, he has a 40-minute part in his week-long training. This whole 40 minutes is about an event he went to, a lunch, where he sat down next to a guy named Joey, and Joey translated into about 40 clients for him, right? And so he says, go to lunches and meet a guy named Joey, right? So then he decides he doesn't want to do the training business anymore. He wants to go back to making videos. But he doesn't tell anybody he's making videos. And so his business is struggling because the people he's made videos for, the people he's done all this marketing with in the past, didn't know he had left the training business and gone back to making videos. So I said, well, what have you done for the people that you made videos in the past? Have you reached out to them? He goes, not really. Because I just, I don't have time for that. I said, well, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. Have an event and invite them all to the same place at the same time. Now, he hosted the event, so it was totally okay for him to show up and be like, hey, what's the video? You want a video? Anybody? Video? and it was actually a huge success for him because those people were like, what? You're making videos again? I thought you weren't doing that anymore. And you're the guy I know, like, trust, love, want to make videos for me and all my friends and clients and my church and my club and the government and everybody. So he's back at doing that all again, and it's all about, he had an event and he was able to sell there. All right, really listen to others. This is a tough one. I even struggle with this sometimes because I'm kind of an idea engine. If you've seen my TED Talk, it's titled, How to Be an Idea Engine. So when people come to me with problems, and my wife will tell you I'm terrible at this, she'll come home after a bad day and she'll be telling me about all this stuff. All I want to do is fix it. And I'm just full of ideas. I'm cutting her off and I'm telling her how, well, this is what you should have done, this is where you should have gone, this is who you should have called. It's so important when I'm out meeting people for the first time that I'm not being the guy that's stepping all over them and trying to fix their problems. And I really, really struggle with this and work hard at it. But by putting it on the list, I'm reminded to always try and listen to people. One of my favorite things to do. And Scott heard me, I keep referencing you just because I've been seeing you a lot lately, but Scott has a group that he's part of, Vistage, and I attended an event, and it was my first time going to a Vistage event. If you haven't heard about them or checked them out, I highly encourage you to check them out, ask Scott about them. It's a great organization. they ask the new guys to stand up at the front of the room and answer these 10 questions. And one of them is, where do you see yourself in 3, 4, 5 years from now? And I thought about it, and I went back to where I originally wanted to see myself back in 2010 when I started my business. I want to be working with people that I love working with, who love working with me, and all I want to do is spend time with them, making their lives better. But the way I framed it was, I want to be doing 3 to 5 one-on-ones every single day of the week. And the guys in the room are these professionals that run companies, and these are busy people. They're like, well, how do you, what in the world? You can't have 5 one-on-ones every day, like 15 one-on-ones in a week, 25 one-on-ones. That's really tough to do, but that's really where I see myself spending time with people and pouring whatever value I can give them by fixing whatever problems they have. But I have to go back to, I got to hear the problem first and stop cutting them off. Always tell the truth. I had this originally written as never tell a lie, but I've learned that when you tell people things in a negative way, that doesn't seem to resonate. So I know some people in this town who are always telling the truth. They have incredibly high integrity. And I'll be with them somewhere and we'll experience something really incredible. And 2 or 3 or 4 years later, they'll be telling that story and I'll overhear it and they will tell it word for word exactly how it happened. And it just makes me feel that much better about that individual. If I'm hearing them tell a story that is untrue or has some kind of embellishment to it, it really kind of devalues them in my mind as the kind of person that I want to work with. I'm fortunate that in my family, I have my nephew here today, and he and his father are some of the highest integrity-driven people that I know. And so I'm going to get all emotional, but I'm very proud of them. And I would gladly refer them because I know that he's never going to take advantage of his clients. He's never going to sugarcoat things. He's never going to embellish. And I really appreciate that because that's the way he is all the time. Whether it's Thanksgiving, at his grandparents' house, or at church, or on the job. He's the same guy all the time. Schedule one-on-ones. Who here has had a one-on-one in the last week? Outstanding. You guys are super connectors. Why am I teaching this class? You guys get up here and teach me. One-on-ones are so critical because in the 5 minutes that you meet somebody at a networking event, there's no way you can develop true lasting rapport, and you can really even know what they need or what they. You can ask the questions: what do you need? What are you looking for? I love Scott's question: who do you want to meet? Such a great question. When you sit down with somebody, you actually get to spend a little bit of time with them. Make them laugh, right? Connect with them. Find out what matters to them. Find out if they have kids. Find out if their kids are struggling with their teacher, right, at school. Or if you want to throw rocks at their teacher, right? Like
There's a backstory to that. She'll go around throwing rocks.
Get coffee with Andrea. She'll tell you. Anybody here seen Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee?
Yes.
Yeah, if you haven't checked it out, it's on Netflix now. It's on YouTube. I mean, it's so easy to find these episodes and watch them. This is my picture of the perfect one-on-one. So let me set the. So you agree? Yeah.
I agree. It's a great one. It's a great, that one was a good stumble upon.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So let me set the stage for you. Jerry Seinfeld, for those millennials in the room, was a very, Shannon, was a very popular comedian back in the 90s, and he got on a television show, which was the #1 rated television show, like in the whole world at the time. And it was basically just a bunch of comedians, not really, it wasn't about anything, right? I'm sure you guys have all seen the show. So fast forward several years later, he's super duper rich and wealthy, and he's thinking, well, what do I like to do? What do I want to do if I'm going to spend my days doing anything? And so he's like, I like cars. I love comedians. He's been a stand-up comedian since he was very young. I think he's been a stand-up comedian for over 40 years now. And you've probably seen him on The Tonight Show and some of the other talk shows in town. He comes to town and does this stand-up bit here in Austin on occasion. And he's like, I want to hang out with my favorite people, comedians, and I want to talk about cars, and I want to drink coffee. So he created this show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, where he picks them up. And every episode, it's a different car. And he tries to match the car to the comedian. So he's picking up Steve Harvey. He gets, I don't remember, it was like Rolls Royce or some ridiculous, automobile. He picks him up. He's going out to, I think he went out to lunch with Sarah Jessica Parker, and he picked her up in like a 1980s station wagon. He was like, hey, it's what I think of you when I... she was like, I love it. It's like me. It's my car.
It was actually her car.
It was that. That's right. It was like her first car or something, wasn't it? Yeah. So Steve's in the show. And then they go get coffee, which is what we all do, right? We all go get coffee. But what do we typically do? We sit there at coffee, and we think in our heads, what are we doing here? What are we talking about? I just need to make a sale today because I gotta feed the kids and I gotta keep the roof on the house and pay the electric bill. I gotta pay my Netflix bill so I can watch more Jerry Seinfeld. Binge during the day when I'm supposed to be working. What if the next time you had a one-on-one, and I'll get to, how you pull from them what matters business-wise in a minute, but what if the next time you had a one-on-one, and by the way, I encourage all of you, if you want to have a one-on-one, I'm on board, let's do it. But what if you just sat down and tried to make each other laugh? Right? What if you just tried to have a good time? But yeah.
And what happened afterwards if your manager says, how did it went? I just laughed the entire time. We had a good time. Because that happens very often.
Yeah.
It just happened with us yesterday. It was pretty awesome. So,
I love that.
Yeah. So
Because that person's going to remember how you made them feel, right? Everybody knows the Maya Angelou quote. I'm not going to put it on the screen.
I'm not in the wrong path then. That's good.
There's a story by Wayne Dyer where he's written his book and he's trying to get it published, and he just doesn't know what he's going to do. He's a psychologist by training, but he's teaching in high schools all the time. You guys know who Wayne Dyer is, right? Millennial, you can Google him. He's written multiple books. He was a well-renowned speaker and author. He's since passed on, but he was just trying to get his start in life. And he'd written this book. He wrote this book in 7 days, really quick. It's called Your Erroneous Zones. I found it for 10 cents once at a bookstore. I bought a copy, so I have a copy of it on my shelf. It's a great book. It's a quick read too. But he was trying to get his book published, and he got an appointment with a publisher at the largest publishing house at the time. Now, being a trained psychiatrist and psychologist, he shows up, in the role of author, and the gentleman he's supposed to meet with can't talk with him because he's completely emotionally wrecked because his marriage is falling apart. So what does Wayne Dyer do? He spends 5 hours with the man, consoling him, using all of the skills and techniques that he's used, never once talking about the book. The next day, he calls his agent. Agent says, how'd the meeting go? He goes, I don't think it went so well. We didn't talk about the book once. The agent says, are you kidding me? That guy called me first thing this morning. He can't wait to publish your book. Right? So, yes, you can talk business, but remember to also kind of talk a little bit about the human stuff as well. And again, have a good time. You should be enjoying this stuff. We're going to talk about other things you can do other than just get coffee, but definitely have one-on-ones. Should I go over the rest of that? You guys probably want to know about what a networking posse is. So I mentioned earlier about Vistage. A networking posse is a group of people that you either create on your own as your personal networking group, or it's one you buy into. Bob's Club is another one. You guys heard of Bob's Club? Business over breakfast. There's a new chapter that just opened up over where is that one at? It's Arbor Walk over at the Mimi's Cafe. You can Google it and check them out. There's another one, B&I. Anybody here ever heard of B&I? I meet a lot of people that have been in B&I and they're not in it anymore, right? You were in a B&I, and I know are you still in one?
Yep.
The average lifespan is 3 to 4 years for most people, and I'll ask them, why did you leave? Were you not making any money? And they go, no, I was making great money. Wait, I don't understand. You were making money? The problem is they were connected with the same 20 people every single week, and they weren't with intention extending beyond that. But here's what they usually do. They go join another networking posse because they're just looking for another mix of people that they can connect with deeply, have that one-on-one, whether it's Vistage or Bob or B&I or form your own. There's so many. I just found out yesterday, Bill Combs, who was here talking about Facebook marketing, brilliant with the Facebook advertising stuff, he was talking about a group called 1 Million Cups. They're actually meeting this morning, otherwise Bill would be here because he's on their board. You're on their board too.
Yeah,
You
I'm one of their coaches, yeah.
Yeah. So he can't be here this morning, and so, but there's so many of these things, and it's so easy to find. If you can Google for it. I mean, Metropolitan Breakfast Club is another one. I think you're a regular member there, aren't you? Or you have been in the past?
My schedule doesn't make that happen now.
But it's on Wednesday mornings. I'm sure a lot of people weren't here this morning that wanted to be because they're regularly attending their Wednesday morning breakfast down at the UT campus. So join a networking posse because the ability to get around these people, and what I found is that, like most things, business people will go join a group, they'll buy in, they'll become a member, and 3 weeks into it, they'll say, it doesn't work because they haven't taken the time to develop any connections. They haven't invited connectivity with it. How many one-on-ones have you had since you started going to the Breakfast Club? No, none. How many people have you made friends with? How many people have you made laugh? Right? None. I'm just there to sell my business. Right? Well, take a break from that and try to build an audience of people.
How many of y'all have seen that commercial where the guy is trying to improve his health and he does one push-up That's it, I'm done. I love that. You can't do one-to-one and improve your networking health. You're gonna have to do several with the same person.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the key some people just miss. They think,